talk about. We'll just keep talking. We'll just keep talking. Just keep talking. Talking. For so long. Oh, we're babbling on. We're babbling
Hey girl.
Hey, girl.
It's been long enough.
It's been long enough. It's time to do the work
Yeah,
of
it's
this.
time to put in the work.
Which, let me just quickly intro you. I'm
Please.
with someone who I met the first day of college, who lived across the hall from me in our dorms.
Unbelievable.
And we instantly became besties. And now
Hilton
here
was
we
wearing
are.
bright yellow shorts down to the knee and a purple
V-neck.
V-neck, and I would say it was fitted.
You could say that, and you would be actually
Which was
being
classy.
generous. It was head to toe Old Navy.
Of course.
And purple and yellow were our school colors.
Which I thought was actually really cool. But
I that day is kind of a blur to me, but I vividly remember meeting you and nothing was ever the same. And now here we are.
and then we spent every minute
12
of the
years
next
later.
4 years being
Farting.
a harrowing couple.
We were RAs together.
We kept the peace.
We long have been devotees of Pirates of the Caribbean together.
Yes.
Now we moved to New York at the same time and began that journey together, and now you've just had knee surgery, if I may disclose.
Please, no HIPAA violations here.
You're currently
I'm currently held
adjusting
up. Yeah.
your leg.
Yeah, we just put the novel Girl, Woman, Other under my foot, which probably is not okay.
Well, certainly not for girls, women, or others.
But yes, I'm currently recovering. Knee is probably twice the size she normally is. But the most beautiful part about knee surgery is that you can be taken away from this mortal plane by going to watch Pirates of the Caribbean with your best friend.
Which we just did, watch the first half. Yeah, we were just watching that because today's topic, let's just jump into it. Isa, what are you babbling on about today?
I'm babbling on about the queen herself.
Yep.
Keira, what's her middle name?
I'm
feel like
so
it's like
embarrassed to say I don't know. I'll look that up right now.
Anne.
I also never even introduced you. This is my bestie, Isa Braun, who is an esteemed dancer, just completed a show at the Metropolitan Opera at Lincoln Center, and is a scholar of all things
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley.
Yeah, thank you.
Keira Knightley. Let's get her middle name.
It's
before
an
we
honor
post
to
it
be
further.
here.
Keira.
Speaking on the topic that I've waited to speak about my whole
We've
life.
been needing this. Yeah, I think we need to start with just opening Christina with CH as her middle name.
Really?
Yeah.
We are here, and I'm here to Babylon about Keira Christina Knightley. In particular, about her role in the franchise of the century.
Yes.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, so we'll be focusing on the first Pirates of the Caribbean film, but we will be covering her whole oeuvre.
Yep.
I want to share an anecdote just
Please.
before we get into. She was born the 26th of March, 1985.
Was she really?
Yeah.
March girly.
She's a Marchie. Does that make
What
her?
does that mean, a Pisces?
Might be Pisces.
You're asking the wrong queer here.
And me. We're not like that.
No, we're not.
So we're going to walk through her life and get to her, but I want to just say a story about Keira Knightley. I was talking to this guy who I'd had sex with.
And can you give us a time and a place here? Where are we?
Not that long ago. Like a year ago. I was in LA messaging this guy on Grindr who I'd once been going on dates with and having sex with, and we hadn't talked in a while. And we were messaging, and he was like, I just watched Atonement. And I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. Like, I consider myself a Keira Knightley type. And he was like, you are.
Huge.
And
compliment.
I said back, say that again and you can tie me to your bed for the rest of my life and use me whenever you want. And he didn't respond.
At all?
No. We have spoken since, but it's not been super forthcoming.
Yeah, and clearly a change has happened. Well, it's devastating because he gets it. You know?
I know, like, he does know that I am a Keira Knightley type, which we're going to get into it, but this is
And I'd
totally...
like to quickly give an anecdote of my own,
Yeah.
if I will. When I was younger, a family friend of ours, it was a family with a young male boy named,
Right.
and I will keep his name redacted just
Sure.
in case he's listening, of course.
Of course.
I'd hate to to be that person.
I'm sure he's frothing at the mouth to get this podcast down his gullet.
He had he was like a little bit younger than me, but I considered him a friend, which was pretty cool.
That was nice
a
of you.
young
That was
gay
big of
woman
you.
as myself to have a friend who was a boy.
Yeah, that is cool. To
And
this day.
I went into his room and we were looking for something, and I turned around and he did have a poster of the one and only Keira Knightley
Oh my God.
in the outfit, not to spoil anything, when she's on the boat, the sexy red, gift
Oh,
from
like
the pirates.
the gift,
Yes.
the maroon oxblood dress.
The maroon number.
Was he like whacking it off to that?
Absolutely. But
We all were. She's the hottest person of all time.
yeah, and so I thought about the fact that he had that on his ceiling.
Oh, so he could look up
Yeah.
at it. Wow.
And good for him.
yeah.
All
very
right,
good.
I'm ready now. That click you just heard was,
What was
the
that?
knee brace that I'm clipping myself in and out of depending on my comfort.
I forced myself onto Isa immediately post surgery and said, "We're gonna record a podcast about Keira Knightley." Couple quick facts just from her Wikipedia,
Please.
and then I listened to another interview covering her life story, so I feel up to speed on her. She was named after a figure skater, and they were gonna
Was she?
spell it Iera, but the dad misspelled it accidentally, EI. So that's how we got the
Foreshadowing
EI.
what's to come with Keira Knightley's
Wait, what do you mean?
dyslexia.
Oh fuck! Oh yeah, so she has dyslexia as a kid, and she's the parent of 2 actors. Her mom was a writer as well, and in order to get her to read and focus on school, she really wanted an agent. Starting at age 3, she was asking for that, and by age 6, she had an agent. And the reason the parents acquiesced her request
Thank you for that.
was it was like the doctor was like, you need to give her something that she wants as like a reward to get her to focus on trying to do her schoolwork and reading. And she was able to like overcome the dyslexia in part because the only way she was allowed to like go on auditions is if she practiced her reading.
And that
And that
is how you get a kid
yeah.
to read.
And dyslexia teas, like, did you have
Do
more
you
to
have
say?
dyslexia? Do you have anything to say? I'm wondering what your tea
I
is.
don't. My tea is like, I was a really voracious reader as a child, and now I wish I read like I did back then.
I had a lot of fascination with dyslexia as a kid. Not
You did?
because I think it's like, and for anyone who has dyslexia, I'm so sorry, it's not like a fascinating subject, I'm sure, but I was an okay reader, let's just say that.
You were okay.
I was okay. I could do it.
Are you being humble?
No.
Okay, you're being accurate.
Yeah, my mom famously, when we moved to my town that I like grew up in when I was 6, she wrote a letter to the school prepping them on like who I was, because she was an educator and she was, very concerned about
Why
that.
is
And
that
she famously
tea?
said, she's by no means gifted, but she can she can do it. She's good, but she is by no means gifted.
Damn.
Thanks, Mom.
And you were privy to the contents of that letter?
We read that letter a couple years ago when we unearthed.
So you learned recently.
I
about
learned
that.
recently, yeah.
And how did that go down?
I'm thrilled.
You're happy. You're good. Yeah, so she had dyslexia. She overcomes it. And
She was born in London, I wonder?
suburbs of London.
Sure.
Yeah, and she has a brother. And she started acting very young. Her first on-screen appearance was in something called Screen 1, playing like a girl whose mom is having an affair. This was in 1993. So she would have been 85, like 8 years old?
Yeah.
Maybe a
Math
little
isn't my
younger.
strong suit, but I think
She was
so.
born in 85, which is important because when we get to the ages of these projects that she's in that we know her from, we're going to be gagged.
Yeah.
Since her first movie role is actually in Star Wars The Phantom Menace.
Right. Doubling Natalie
1999.
Portman, no?
Exactly. Playing Sabe, who is like Natalie Portman's... In the movie, like in the plot of the movie, the character is Queen Amidala's double, like in case someone tries to shoot Amidala, and they do, and they kill.
She wasn't just like a stunt girl.
She was a stand-in for Natalie Portman, like on set, like when they needed someone to stand in, like
Right.
she did that, but she also, her character
Was a
is a double
Fascinating.
for Natalie, and like all her dialogue was dubbed over by Natalie. She didn't have lines. She was just like a glorified double, but she is appearing in the movie
Right.
as a double because they look
It
alike.
counts.
Yeah.
I certainly haven't done that.
And her brother convinced her parents to let her do it because he was like, it's Star Wars.
Ally.
Yeah. And she was 14.
Jeez. Well, and then how soon after did she do Bend It Like Beckham?
So there's a few like TV things. She does this thing, Princess of Thieves, where she gets to practice archery. She does this direct to TV thriller, The Hole, which I noted because like I kind of wanted to name my novel that, but now
Oh.
I'm like, that's already taken.
Thanks, Kira.
Bend It Like Beckham comes, I think she's 15. I, for some reason, don't have the year written down here, but I think that would
I'm
be
gonna look it up.
1999 or 2000.
Yeah, it must be.
And that's her big break.
And she, like, we could do
A whole
a
episode.
whole other episode about that and its importance in
Is Bend It Like
certainly my
Beckham
life.
huge to you?
Huge.
Really?
Yes.
Because it's like, remind me, like, are they lesbian in
Ye-
it?
No, but they like are female soccer players, and like being a lesbian is a huge unspoken, like the whole point is that like the family of one of the women like sees them hugging and thinks that they're kissing and thinks that they're lesbians, and it like throws this whole thing, but they're not. They are just like besties.
Yeah.
Which we can, you know,
We can unpack,
argue,
like, are
unpack the
they-
sexual undertones, obviously, but it was like it was about like girls who played sports and wore sports bras and like didn't want to be conforming to classic
Yeah.
femininity at the time, which, my gosh, I watched and was obsessed with.
Yeah.
My
And
whole family was it was it was a huge family movie.
I definitely saw it with my family, like at my dad's house with my sister and my dad, and we were gagged and loving it, and like it was
Yeah.
the rare sports movie that we could all get into, but like I haven't watched it really since then. I remember the girl from Ella Enchanted, Parminder Nagra. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but that's the other lead
she-
actress.
She's an Ella Enchanted.
She's in Ella Enchanted. She plays Arita,
Oh.
her friend.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, she's excellent.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Bend It Like, I think that the fact that she does that and then straight into Pirates.
Well, it's interesting because like Bend It, just like she gets cast because she's playing this like tomboyish thing, and
Yes.
like Keira is like able to give this tomboyish energy, which is funny because she can
Tomboy, but
obviously
also,
go
like, in her own
so
sexuality.
hyper femme. Oh, was she having sex in that movie?
Well, she's like kind of dating the coach, which like talk about power dynamics. But and there's a scene where she like comes out in this little like sparkly number in Germany. They're all clubbing, and she's like clearly in her, like she knows how to own her, like her sexuality and her power.
Well, she just
in that.
did. She was from as soon as we saw her on screen, age like
Yes.
14, 15, was like absolutely stunning in a way that's like, damn, like, whoa, you're already like a statuesque supermodel and you're
Yes.
like not even
Holding
15.
her own power.
It's like crazy. You
Like
know, it's
understanding her own power,
Yeah.
which must have been wild. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, so Bend It Like Beckham is her breakout. That was the highest grossing sports or soccer movie at the time ever. It's now been surpassed by She's the Man and Kicking and Screaming. Soccer movies. I read that on Wikipedia. And then we basically get to Pirates, which
Here we are, folks.
Hi.
Hi, pirate.
Hi, Pirate Booty. Before we get in even further, I just want to say again, like, Keira is who I want to be. We're going to unpack the queer awakening of pirates.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I would say, like, I wasn't conscious of this back then, but I am now, that, like, it's sort of a trans awakening in the way of, like, I'm sure I'm not alone in saying I wish I was Keira Knightley, and, like, that's who I want to be. And, like, if I was going to have boobs, I'd want to be Keira.
Yep.
If that makes any... And, like, there's a photo of Keira Knightley in Pirates of the Caribbean, like, that I took on my phone of the movie screen of Pirates. That's one of my Grindr photos. Like, I'm all in on
Wait,
Keira.
which scene?
It's at the end, I want to say, when she's, like, looking... She's wearing, like, a sort of colonial dress. You know what? It might be... Her hair's up. I remember that. I need to get, like, a better one where she's wet. I'll get one while we're watching later. But, yeah. Anyway. Pirates is here. Anything
Pirates
to
is
say
here.
before we begin the Pirates journey?
I was introduced to Pirates of the Caribbean by a friend, and we watched in her, like, living room.
Yeah.
And...
Age?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, we were, like, I want to say 12.
Young.
Yeah.
I would say 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Young.
Because this is 2003. And I was
And
born in 93, so I was 10.
And I probably watched it, like, a year or two after it, because I didn't see it in
Okay,
theaters.
so you were, like, 12. I saw it in theaters. Like, it was a packed thing. We were with, like, these neighbor kids. We weren't 13 yet, so we had to, like, get permission to go in. We were with my mom and stepdad, and it was, like, the most transformative thing ever.
And sitting there watching, my friend and I like to do home movies, and I think that we immediately got up and, like, started creating our own pirate-themed home movie, and went back to Pirates over and over and over. Yes, it became my favorite movie instantly.
Yeah.
I made my family watch it more often than Bend It Like Beckham. It surpassed that.
Easy. I mean, like, we watched this movie multiple times a day for years. Like, both you and I can recite every single line and note from the score and sound from the Foley artists, like, to the T.
Thank you for talking about the Foley artists. I didn't have a taste for pop music when I was a kid. I had a taste for the soundtrack of Pirates of the Caribbean, and did listen to it in my Walkman on my way to school.
You did? You listened to the score on the way to school?
I listened to the score.
That is so fucking cool. Like, I do that now, but as a kid, I wasn't, like, thinking that that was an option.
Sure.
Even,
well,
we
have to see examples to know what's possible for us.
Representation matters.
Representation
It just matters. Okay, so
Speaking
let's
of
walk
representation, bisexuality.
Bisexuality. Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the guy with the wooden eyeball and the other guy
Thank you.
us.
Well, do you want to start there?
I think we should start chronologically. I mean, one thing... Oh, wait. Before we get into the chronology, she took this role and she was running late. She had just done Bend It Like Beckham. She says in this interview... I
She was running late from what?
She was, like, late to the audition.
Oh, okay.
For Pirates of the Caribbean. And she was like, I'm never late. And for some reason I was late. And she was, like, mad because she had said to her agent, like, what's the point of me even auditioning for this? I'm never going to get it. It was, like, this huge
Classic.
Disney movie. She also thought it would be a clunker because it's based off of a theme park ride at Disney World, and was, like, not, like, into it. And then shows up late and still gets the part, obviously.
Have you ever been to the ride?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I can't remember if I'd been on it before the movie, because I know they, like, revamped it after the movie.
I've never been.
I've been. It's cool.
Okay.
It's like you're on a boat going and just kind of, like, watching scenes unfold. And, like...
Sure.
Anyway, so let's start from the beginning of the movie.
It opens.
It opens.
We've got water.
We've got water.
We've got haze.
We've got the immortal lines, yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
We see the bow of the Dauntless coming into frame.
Oh, that's the Dauntless.
I don't know if it is. I'm making an assumption.
Okay. Well, the Dauntless, for the uneducated readers, is the name of the ship of the colonialists. Which, like, that's a whole other thing.
Oh,
The
God, yeah. We could
colonizer
really talk about how
aspect.
it's our favorite movie was about...
Yeah, you're siding
Colonizers.
with... Well, you're kind of siding against the colonizers because you're siding with the pirates.
Yes. Okay.
The pirates are the good
So
guys.
we're okay.
So, and Keira... Anyway, so there's a young girl who looks like my sister did when she was a little girl, playing the young version of Keira Knightley, who your girlfriend was just saying in the other room how this girl, like, not only looks like Keira, but studied Keira to get the mannerisms and has the chops. And we commend this girl. We didn't bother looking up the actress's
Shout
name.
out Ash Government.
Shout out Ash Government, and shout out to unnamed child actress who plays young Keira.
Yep, she kills it.
She eats.
She does.
Because she goes like, she's the one responsible for such gems as, his name's William Turner. That's all I found out.
And her... when Gibbs puts his arm on her and turns her around.
Mr. Gibbs is a character in Pirates who has like the whiskery sideburns who should have had a supporting actor nom.
Yep.
We can open by saying Pirates did score Johnny Depp a lead actor Oscar nom, as well as sound mixing, editing, visual effects, and hair and makeup.
Which I see all as deserved.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were just watching this, we were doing a rewatch as we are speaking. I mean, it's paused in the living room.
We paused halfway through to go get recording.
And it holds up. It is...
Oh, it's airtight.
It is excellent.
It's
cinema.
excellent. It should have gotten an adapted screenplay. Ah!
Yeah.
I'm pissed it didn't. Like, the dialogue in every scene is so tightly written.
And smart.
And smart.
And not
and thoughtful.
Corny.
No, it is not corny.
It is not Disney-like.
It is not Disney-ified. I don't see that. Like,
freaking smart.
It's bold. It's sexual.
It's very
witty.
sexual.
It's extremely witty. It's smart. Like, they thought through the rules of the world. And, like, sure, they had the pirate theme park ride to go off of, but that only gave them, like...
No, this is
the
their
idea
research.
of pirates. Like, they came... What'd you say?
This is their research.
Their
They did the
research.
work.
They, like, took, like, existing tropes of, like, the parrot or the hat, and they built a world and a story that is driven, that honestly is centered ultimately on a female heroine who's cunt. Like, Keira is... Elizabeth Swann is such a badass.
She is so, and we were just talking about this, like, she's smart, she knows who she is, she's not playing games.
She's hot as fuck.
She's hot.
She can
Her
go high
breasts,
femme or mass.
Yes, and she looks fucking
her
hot
breasts
in both.
and her lips, her jaw, her nose, her neck, her eye, the curl.
The curl of her hair.
Yeah.
Her waist, I'm sorry, her body, come on.
Tell me about her waist.
It is, and right, we're gonna fall into body tropes here, but like, it is her, like, her breasts are not too big, not too small.
And by the way, her nipples is shit. You know what? Like, I hope one day we're friends with her, and I don't want her to think we're objectifying. I'll cut the nipples thing, but it's just like, she's so exquisitely beautiful, and then to be cool and smart and talented,
and then to realize that the girl's 17 does make me pause. And makes me think, oh.
She was 17
she was
when filming this.
Baby when she filmed this.
Which is so insane.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off from the beginning.
I find it all fascinating. No, we're good, because...
I used to sit and quote Pirates word for word with my friend Su Yin at the top of stairs during parties. rather than hang out.
That is what I want to do at current day parties.
We will.
Like, let's go get to the top of a staircase.
I can't walk right now, so that's what we're going to do.
You know what? I'll take one for the team and stop going to parties in order to come quote Pirates with you instead. Even though, of course, I would love to be at the parties. So one thing before we get to the birth of Keira, which is coming up when little Keira closes her eyes and big Keira opens her eyes, is the umbrella floating in the water.
Umbrella.
There's an umbrella floating in water that just needs to be mentioned. It's foreshadowing.
What do you, like, looking at the umbrella, what do you know about the umbrella? What does it say about who owned it?
One thing about the umbrella is I'm actually like, wait, why is there an umbrella? And two is I never asked you who you are in the 8. I wanted to do like a Pirates themed 8, and so if I was choosing who I am in Pirates, it would be the umbrella. I want it to be Keira, but that feels too obvious.
I'm gonna have to probably think about it. I might be Jack's little goatee that's split into 2 braids.
Yeah, the 2 braids with the beads on them.
Yeah, that feels me.
Yeah, that's you.
But we'll keep a tab on that.
Do you know something about the umbrella that I don't?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It really does feel like the filmmakers were thinking art.
They were thinking Image.
And Image, and then maybe didn't follow through on... Oh, wait, no, I get it.
I mean, it's a ship
Because
that
the ship
blew
was
up.
bluing-
Yeah,
yes,
so it's
exactly.
something that floated away from the ship. And it just
So-
happens to be a gorgeous umbrella.
It's predicting doom.
Yeah, because the Black Pearl, we will later realize, was out on the horizon.
Doing what she does best.
Anyway, so little Kira closes her eyes, big Kira opens her eyes, and we witness the birth of a star.
The best cut.
Much in the
film
way Lady
history.
Gaga's Born as a Star at the end of Star is Born with the eye close up. Here is the birth of Keira Knightley, movie star.
And then what
Close up
happens?
on
We
eyes.
zoom out.
Mm-hmm. Pout boob,
Pout, boob,
locket,
hair.
hair.
And she is perfection.
She's perfection. And then her dad and maid service is coming in, and he's going, "Still in bed at this hour?" And she's going, "Yes, yes!" And then she's kind of blinking as he opens
she
the curtains.
gets up and like puts on the medallion.
Oh, yeah.
And then she has to tuck it into her little boobs.
She tucks it into her boobs. Again, Kira, if you're listening, like, we have boobs. Or,
and we,
like,
yeah, and we have so much respect for both you
we
and
have
yours.
respect. I don't have boobs, but I'm thinking about what would happen if I got them.
Yep.
And you're the reason, Kira. So,
Oh my gosh.
we
And
love
her-
you.
And her acting, I'll say from the start, is impeccable.
Yes.
It is honest.
It's so good.
And it's
captivating.
So
It's
aware.
true.
Yeah.
It's aware. She was super insecure, though. She was like, in this interview I was listening to, she's like, I don't feel like I have any idea what I'm doing at this point. She now does, but like during the making of Pirates, she was like, I had no idea what I was doing. Which she's 17, like.
I didn't know what I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it works. Whatever was going on, it worked.
So Dad gives Kira, Elizabeth Swan, we should call her by
you.
her name, a gift, which is a beautiful dress. And Kira goes, "May I inquire as to the occasion?"
And he lies.
What does he say?
He's like, as if a father needs a reason to dote upon his daughter.
Oh, yeah. And then he goes, "Actually, I had hoped to wear it to the ceremony today."
And she dips around. She's like, I knew it.
Well, first she goes, "Ceremony?"
Oh, right.
Not to correct you.
No, please correct.
And then he goes, "Commodore Norrington's promotion ceremony." She goes, I knew it.
And then what does he say? Well, Commodore, I don't remember, but he says, how is it coming, Elizabeth? And
Difficult
she's
to say.
being strapped into this dress.
This corset that is like suffocating her.
Yeah.
She says,
and-
"Difficult to say," which is one of the immortal lines in film history.
And the other immortal line is, well, women in London must have learned not to breathe.
Which is foreshadowing. So she will soon be fainting from corsetry.
And meanwhile, while she's getting strapped in, someone has
Yes.
just arrived
I have written down
downstairs.
the way she entered. Someone has arrived downstairs. We're, of course, talking about our female cousin.
Our niece. With the long brown
With
hair.
the
and the big brown eyes.
and the smoky, smudged eyeliner.
Yes. And
We're, yeah.
well. And the little expression of like, who, me?
Who, me? Why? We're talking about Captain Jack Sparrow.
We aren't actually. We're speaking about
wait, who are we talking
Orlando
about?
Bloom.
Holy fuck. Oh, I was talking about Johnny.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
I thought you were saying downstairs in a cheeky way, but Orlando's actually downstairs.
Orlando's actually knocking on the door downstairs.
Because I have written in my notes how Johnny arrives on
Then I
the
forgot.
mast of his ship.
And I screwed that up.
No, I screwed it up because Orlando gets there first. Orlando's downstairs. He's pulling a candle off of a wall.
And then sticking it where it can't be found. He's presenting the sword. He's just like a little baby who makes swords.
He's kind of cuck. You know what a cuck is?
No.
That's when a guy like
Teach me.
watches other guys fuck his wife.
That. Oh, like a cuckold.
Yeah, cuckold.
Yeah.
I kind of think that Will Turner's a little bit cucky at the start.
Yeah. He. Well, as we'll talk about later, he clearly. His bisexuality is really leans into, oh, I've done it once, but like wants to do it again.
Yeah.
And doesn't quite know how.
Like Jack Sparrow and Will are both bisexuals, but Will like kisses a guy once in a while, but would never go much further. Johnny is like leaning more gay than straight.
Johnny is excited to get on Grindr later.
Grindr conventions.
In Tortuga.
Which we need to have a Tortuga themed party.
And everyone's invited.
And if anyone has a venue
we're
looks
looking.
like a wooden pub with candles
Free. It needs to be
and
free.
big boob
Lady.
ladies, it needs to be free.
So as Will has arrived, what is also happening is, as Hilt mentioned, our aunt.
Our aunt, yeah. Apologies, I mistook our female cousin for our aunt. Our aunt Deppy. Our troubled aunt.
Our troubled. Wow, yeah, I haven't actually thought about the implications of.
I'm choosing just not to do that right now because I'm sorry, Jack Sparrow's top 5 movie characters of all time. Like, Johnny may have done his duties.
He did.
His dirty works, but
Jack Sparrow.
I'm an art from artist type. Like,
it's an impeccable performance, and it's an impeccable piece of art.
And I do want to mention this trivia I told you, which I learned while listening to this podcast, that the executives at Disney pulled Johnny Depp aside while filming and were like, "You're acting like a crazy person. Like, you have to change the way you approach the character." And Johnny was like, "I'm not doing it any other way. Fire me then." And they didn't, and he got an Best Actor nomination.
Do you think you would have the balls to do that?
If I had already established myself as a movie star, and like Johnny Depp, like he was already a star, right?
Yeah.
I think I would be like, yeah, this is how I do things.
It's exactly who I want to be.
Yeah.
And I would hope to do.
But right now, no, I don't think I would have the guts
well,
to
we're
do
both
that.
unemployed.
We're both
can
unemployed.
take all the jobs.
I just got fired. Like, Babbles, who
Babbles.
are looking to keep up, like, the wine shop's over because a customer complained about my attitude. And it wasn't really that bad what I did.
And I heard the story, and I don't think it's a fireable offense.
Basically, I just gestured like a bowing butler to where the Pinot Noirs were instead of saying, "Here's the Pinot Noirs." And it got me fired.
It's really fucked.
It's kind of Keira teased somehow, I'm sure. Like, Keira would...
It feels very Jack Sparrow to just bow.
Oh, it is Jack Sparrow. But also Keira Knightley, I forgot to mention, this really is supposed to be coming later in the episode, but she has a wine blog that's really beautifully written. Anyway.
All right, back to the story.
Yeah, back to the story. Difficult to say. Johnny arrives. The soundtrack is heaven. Klaus something.
Bedell or something.
Klaus Bedell.
Listen to it. Give it a listen. It will make your walk through Manhattan better.
I'm going to do that. Holy fuck. And I have one thing I need to tell you.
Please.
What do you say to 3 shillings? And we forget the name.
Welcome to Port Royal, Mr. Smith.
Superfluous. It makes one like that, like a bit superfluous, really. So Jack is stealing a boat.
Jack arrives on a sinking boat, barely makes it, but of course steps off with ease, grace, and flair.
Yeah.
He's wearing a hat, a 3-pointed hat.
That's correct.
Along with a red bandana with a little charm hanging off the top.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He is a white man with dreads, but it unfortunately works for me.
He has some really
Here.
heavy bronzer on,
Huge,
too.
yes. And a little, like, scab on his chin.
He has eyeliner.
He has eyeliner. He has big boots.
Not to be confused with big boobs.
No, well, he might have those, but
He probably
billowy
does.
sleeves.
He waxes his chest, we're thinking.
We think so.
Because
and
he's pretty, like, sissy boy.
Yeah.
Dirty fingernails.
Hairy back.
Yes, because he uses his back hair to rope together sea turtles into a raft.
Which
the
he's
educated
proud
one,
of.
Which he's proud of. Anyway, back to our girl, though.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Swann is being proposed to by Commodore Norrington. And she's actually delivering comedy genius. I meant to bring this up earlier when he's proposing and she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about, freak?" And her facial expressions are funny. And then she goes, "I can't breathe."
And falls the fuck over the ledge.
Oh, I just got snot everywhere.
Onto rocks. And doesn't die.
She doesn't hit the rocks.
No.
Let's be clear.
Because
She doesn't fall on the
this
rocks.
queen is not done yet.
No, she's got a lot more to do in this franchise.
She falls. Johnny sees her fall with Tweedledee and Tweedledum, who are the two colonial
Yeah.
boys who were employed to keep Jack.
Yeah. If you have a seizure, don't worry.
I'm also on drugs right
You're
now.
on-
Which I think I should.
What are you on? Oxycontin?
I am on Oxy right now. To keep the
I forced you to sit down and do
pain in my
hours
leg.
on Keira. How's your leg feeling?
I'm numb because I'm on Oxy. But I couldn't say Jack, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Jack jumps in the water to save Elizabeth Swan, who
Gorgeous
has
swan,
plummeted.
and he does a swan dive. I shall say, Elizabeth Swan. He does a swan dive.
Do you think that's why he did a swan dive? To ode to her name?
Maybe.
And then we have cinematography tease because that billowing dress underwater.
Oh my god! It's
Damn,
gorgeous.
bitch.
It's its own. It is a character.
Yeah.
Are
the
you
dress.
that rather than the umbrella?
Yep. I just found out who I am.
Yeah.
I don't know why I tried to be anything else. This movie should have won Best Picture and adapted screenplay. The fact that it wasn't nominated
Yeah.
for either of those categories makes me sick to my stomach.
Incredible underwater cinematography, by the way.
Including when they're walking with the boat held over their heads, which is kind of hard to describe, but Will Turner and Jack Sparrow are walking on the ocean floor
To be sneaky.
and they're breathing by holding an upside down canoe above them, which my mom was always like, that's not physically possible.
And I would try at camp and get water up my nose.
Anyway, so Jack Sparrow rescues Elizabeth Swan,
Yeah, and immediately there's tension.
rips her corset off with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
She sputters water. She looks wet. She invents the wet look.
She is
She's never
wet.
looked hotter. We need to rewind to that scene so I can take a picture to put on my
move
grinder.
the fuck over Kim Kardashian. Like,
Kim, like, you died.
she is...
Kim, you're dead.
She's more beautiful wet than dry.
That's not to say she isn't giving while dry, but yeah, she's more beautiful when wet.
In this scene, anyways.
In this scene.
Okay, and then...
This is where we get, but you have heard of me. Because he
Yes.
goes, you must be the worst pirate I've ever heard of. That's Norrington. Jack goes, but you have heard of me. And we, as the human experience, our jaws rolled away that day.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they handcuff Jack.
Yeah.
And they are gonna take him away for all of the piratey business that he's been involved in over the years, of course. And then Elizabeth stands up for him because she's got ethics.
Yeah, she's
And
a really cool person who thinks for herself.
Yes. She's like, this man saved my life. And basically tries to get them to save Jack. And then Jack, of course, throws his little wrists across her throat.
Oh, it's so sexy.
Holds her against it, which, like,
Pulls the
let's talk
chain
about
against
consent.
her
There
neck.
was none there.
But it
I'm
is
not advocating for
BDSM
that.
teens.
It is.
And you know that, like, oh, how do I not sound like a fucking, like, problematic, like, gross, like, pervert?
When
But,
you
like,
say that you like it, there's no consent.
yeah. Like,
Power.
I was almost going to say, like, Elizabeth is, like, into it. Again,
Well-
Keira Knightley is 17 at the time.
Yeah, we can put aside
Put
the
that
fact
aside.
that hopefully there was no intimacy coordinator, but we hope that she was okay doing this.
Yeah.
And then he turns her around to her, and, like, she's not just, like, scared. She's reacting to him. She calls him despicable.
You're despicable.
You're despicable.
I always thought she was saying you despicable. Like, you despicable.
Yeah, me
like,
too.
like she was about to say something more. And then he goes, sticks and stones, love. I saved your life, you saved mine. We're square.
And then the music ramps up. Dun, 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 dun.
And he's now, like, sliding along the telephone wire.
Yeah. Anyways,
So
he escapes.
But he ends up getting caught after a fight with Will.
Yep.
Which
He drags Will also. And Will is like, I'll practice with my weapons 5 hours a day.
Oh, yeah.
Each one of them. And Jack just says, you gotta get yourself a girl, mate.
Or perhaps the reason you practice 5 hours a day is you've already found one and are otherwise incapable of wooing such trappers. You're not a eunuch, are you?
I learned what a eunuch was from Pirates.
So did I.
Yep.
And I still am like always telling people like that's what a eunuch is if they don't have balls, and people are like, I basically am trying to get to the fact that Jack is put in prison and Elizabeth is going to bed that night, and we get the, I think, only scene in the film where two female characters are
Speak to each other.
speaking. Yeah. Although I think there's one line exchanged between Zoe Saldana and Elizabeth later. Oh yeah, because she's like, we haven't gotten to this part in our watch today yet, but she's like, turn to the starboard side.
Oh, that's right.
No. She goes, let go! And that's the one moment of the film that passes the Bechdel test when Zoe Saldana's holding the steering wheel and Elizabeth Swann goes, let go!
And I still love it.
Because this scene with the maid doesn't pass Bechdel because you have to be two female characters talking about
a man.
Not a man, and they're talking about a man.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
But they talk about, and the maid, like, says something too bold, and Elizabeth kind of gets sassy with her. And she exerts her, privilege.
She goes, that is too bold.
She's not just this, like, sweet little girl. Like, girl knows she's the governor's daughter.
I wish I had looked up who the screenwriters were, because I have to give them their flowers. Like, they wrote a really interesting, complex character that is, like, questions everything and is deeply well-read and, like, knows all about pirate lore from her books and knows, like, parlay and can recite it. Which, that reminds me. When she was still dyslexic, Keira Knightley would get up in front of the school and read entire books to the class, like, for, like, reading segment or whatever. But she wouldn't have read them. She would have memorized them.
Of course.
And then now she got over her dyslexia. But I just thought that was interesting, especially since Elizabeth Swann has memorized basically word for word the terms of parlay.
It's very, I mean, it reminds me of, it's like, feels Hermione Granger-esque.
Yes. She is kind of Hermione if Hermione wasn't afraid to, like, you know, get wet. And she's Hermione in a corset with water and, like, some sex stuff.
Now that I'm thinking about it, they do share a lot of similarities, but let's keep going.
Yeah, we need to unpack that. But
and this is when my friends, the pirates, arrive.
One quick thing in the Hermione thing that just crossed my mind is I don't think that either could have done, like, I don't think Emma Watson could have done Elizabeth Swann, and I don't think Keira Knightley could have done Hermione. I
think you're right.
Because I think Keira is, like, too breathtakingly, like, sexy.
Totally.
To play, which, oh, God, I sound like the fucking critics who, like, reduced her to her looks. But I just think, like, for the character of Hermione, she's not supposed to be, like, flashy, like, jaw drop beautiful. Even though Emma Watson, obviously, I'm sounding like a fucking misogynist, but like, I just think that they both, like, were cast in the right roles.
They were absolutely cast in the right roles. And also I think that watching Keira be brattier, like, as Hermione and, like, a little bit more annoying would be interesting, but I think that
I'd like to see both, but I'm glad with how things were cast.
I'm really thrilled with how it all came out in the wash.
Anyway, so what do we get to next? The invasion of Port Royal by the pirates.
Which I think was set in St. Vincent in the Caribbean, in case anyone was wondering.
But you know that from the DVD special features?
Special features DVD, absolutely.
Where is St. Vincent? That's a town in the Caribbean?
Oof,
It's an island?
I would hate to be wrong here. Geography is incredibly important to me. I think St. Vincent is a island. It's like St. Vincent and the Grenadines is like a country.
Okay.
But I'll fact check myself.
Now, you mentioned something while we were watching just a few minutes ago about how Jack Sparrow, who's watching the invasion from prison, he goes, "It's the pearl." And you were saying how hot and interesting it is that his obsession as a character is not with a woman or with money even, but it's with this boat, this ship.
It's with freedom.
The Black Pearl. And the freedom that represents. Which is something we can all relate to, of, like, the idea of just, like, sailing away does sound like heaven a little bit.
The way that he's obsessed with it is incredibly potent for the character. Like, it makes so much sense, and it's so interesting. It's different than what I think
It's surprising. Like, they really thought this movie through, and they made the characters not predictable. or stock, even though they built on like the stock images of like the parrot going, "Dead men tell no tales," or
Oh,
like
that
the
was good.
three-point. That was good. The three-pointed hat, or like the swashbuckling swords, or whatever. But they took all that and then they built out a world that feels like really textured and
Yes.
and they built out a world. It's really impressive.
And I think that for Jack, I could watch hours of Jack Sparrow's life. Like,
Yeah.
everything that he does, he's Johnny plays him in this very drunken, kind of like flamboyant nature, but he's so serious. He also knows exactly what the fuck he's doing at every moment. And he takes him, like, the character takes himself very seriously, which is essential to
Yeah, totally.
us
All the characters
trusting,
are
like,
taking it
yeah.
super seriously, which is like crucial. One line in here about the other prisoners going, "No, never leaves any survivors," about the Black Pearl,
Oh.
and then Jack goes,
Yes.
"No survivors. Then where do the stories come from, I wonder?"
So smart.
That like
So smart.
broke my back open as a kid, and I was like, "Oh shit! I never understood life before that happened."
So much.
Keira invokes the right of parley. We are straying slightly from Keira.
Thank you. Let's refocus.
Refocus. She
She
is invoking-
fights.
She fights. She opens a burner.
Yeah.
Of
She opens like
embers.
a bedpan,
She opens a bedpan. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. She opens a bedpan.
which maybe isn't actually what we're looking for. Bedpan is where you pee.
That's where you poop and pee.
But she fights off the two. So like the wooden eye boy and
What are their names?
no idea.
Twaddle and Ploddle.
Twaddle and
You know
one?
who we're talking about, listeners. Like, you've all seen Pirates of the Caribbean. Give me a break if you haven't. Like,
And if you
there's the wooden
haven't,
eye-
you pause this
like,
right the
just
fuck now.
die. Honestly,
Get
like,
out.
there's no hope for you. Like, you had enough
What are
time
you
to do it.
doing?
Like,
It's
you're
so
nothing.
good.
If you haven't seen Pirates, you're nothing.
Get out.
Get out.
Get out.
Right now.
All right. So
Okay.
these two who Hilt and I identify
That's
very
who
closely
we are.
with.
I'm Wooden Eye, and your other guy.
And I'm the squat one. They find her, and it's very creepy, and it feels like they're going to kill her, and she invokes the right of parley.
She goes, "Parley.
I invoke the right of parley.
According to the parley, the code set down by the brethren, the parley is complete." I know the code. She wants to be taken to the captain.
She'll be taken to the captain
And we must honor the code.
without a fuss. So they take her to the ship.
They take her to the ship.
And then we meet
our
Hottie.
daughter,
Yeah.
Barbosa.
She's all grown up and ready for college.
Barbosa's headed to college.
She's just mature.
So Barbosa is played by Jeffrey Rush, who, contrary to what some people in this apartment today have thought, is a famous actor known
Ash,
for
my
other
partner, did say, has he done anything else? Love
There's
Ash.
one other thing I needed to say that skipped ahead, which is when Johnny Depp and Will Turner steal the Interceptor, which is the
Oh,
colonial ship,
huge.
and Norrington, the like stick up his ass straight guy who's trying to marry Elizabeth, is watching with his head in his hand like, fuck, he stole my ship. And then his like crony, who like has really
Good
strong good skin. I was gonna say gay face, like he looks gay.
He does
Not
look gay.
Geralt or whatever. What's the one?
Oh, Gillette.
Not Gillette, but his other crony who's like looks like extremely homosexual in a way
Yes.
that's almost like, you're taking me out of the time period, girl. Like, you look really gay. And he goes, prior in the movie, we've covered that he's like, you've got to be the worst pirate I've ever heard of. And Johnny goes, but you have heard of me. And then this guy goes, that's got to be the best pirate I've ever seen. And it's like,
With a
dude, put away your
shit-eating
boner.
grin on his face.
It's like, dude, like, you're gay.
He's stroking himself.
He's stroking. Okay.
And throughout the interaction with Jeffrey Rush as Barbosa and Keira,
Yeah.
she plays with him beautifully. I mean,
Yes.
just another example of her understanding her privilege, as the daughter. She's also, like, purposefully lying, saying that her name is Turner.
She's smart. Almost at that point, I'm like, damn, that's Is that
Although
for a second? I
private
want
education has really paid off.
Yeah, private school gets the job done. She knew to call herself Elizabeth Turner. Like, she's clever.
She's very
and that's
clever.
almost like, is it too clever that she could think of that in that moment? But it's like, no, like, Elizabeth is that clever.
It's more fun if she's that clever. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. And then, of course, there's some ship stuff that we need to cover, which is her. Well, what we never discussed was, instead of saying no, the pirate says, "I am disinclined to acquiesce your request."
He uses fancy words.
And then
because
later
she's so
she
fancy.
is going to say that back to him when he asks her to put on this oxblood maroon red dress.
Talk to me about oxblood. Is that a real
Oxblood,
color?
I just really wanted to say that. It is a color, but I don't know if it's actually really the color of this. It's like a dark maroon. So
it sounds right.
Yeah, so oxblood.
It's gorgeous.
She puts on this dress, and he's like, if you don't put on the dress, you have to dine naked with the crew. And she goes, I'm disinclined to acquiesce the request. She has dinner with Barbossa. She bites into some really delicious looking, like, pale, slimy chicken. White chicken.
He offers her an apple.
Apple.
Not unlike the queen in Snow White.
And then
Apple?
we get that Snow White reference. And then she hides a knife in her lap. He reveals he's going to kill her later on when they repay the blood to lift the curse.
Mm-hmm.
And she
freaks
stabs
out.
him. She runs outside. In the moonlight, she sees the whole crew are skeletons.
Yes.
And they're happening to do that thing that you do in kindergarten with a parachute where you flap it up and run under. She falls onto the tarp parachute, flies up in the air, does a little musical number.
Yeah, we think it's primed to be a musical number.
It would be a really good musical.
I think it would be excellent. We could make it kind of in the style of Titanic, and it would be really campy, and it would be excellent.
Oh, I haven't seen Titanic yet.
Neither have I. I make that reference without having seen it.
Oh, okay.
Which is, well, I
heaven.
can't. I'm laid up in bed
Though
with
she
oxy
be
in
but
my
little,
system.
she be fierce.
I be fierce.
I'm just noticing that there are a few things I wanted to mention previous. One is there's this sound that sound mixers around the world have this little inside joke. So, like, sound engineers in movies, there's this sound that goes like, and it's like a scream, and it's in Pirates when they're raiding Port Royal. It's in, like, Star Wars. It's in, like, basically every big movie. There's this sound that I'll try and find it online and edit it in here. But anyway, that happens, and
Is it a human sound?
it's like, it's just like a sound. Like, I don't quite know how to describe it. And then I just wanted to make mention of, or I guess this is after Elizabeth has her ghost. You best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Jenna. You're in one whole sequence, because Jack and Will are stealing the interceptor, and we just see Jack with the gun slung behind his head, and he grins.
Yeah.
And Will's there. And that's just such an iconic shot that was part of, like, this montage of iconic movie moments in, like, the trailer that played before every movie at this movie theater I went to it back in Milwaukee.
Like before the Nicole
Kidman
Kidman thing happened.
like the Nicole Kidman thing, but it was like the Marcus Majestic Theater in Milwaukee. And yeah, I just thought about that when I was seeing
It
that scene.
is. He's so good.
He's so good. He's brilliant. He earned his Oscar nom. The chicken, okay, she's looking out a window. We meet Zoe Saldana.
Huge. Zoe Saldana, famous in that era from Center Stage, cult classic.
Oh, Alec loves that movie.
It's for good reason.
We
It's
should rewatch that.
best.
Cogsworth Lumiere, Ash, your partner, figured this out, that we kind of get to see that dynamic
That dynamic.
happening in
Tweedledee
Wooden
and
Eyeball
Tweedledum.
and Tweedledum and the colonial version.
We'll find out what their names are in the second half of the film.
Yeah, which we're actually almost through the part that we saw. Like, Elizabeth gets smacked, and then Will puts his hand to her mouth, and it's really sexy. Not the smack, the Will putting his hand to her mouth.
Careful. Well, because they think that she is the blood that's going to cure the curse,
Yeah.
and so they cut her hand, and then they realize that it has not worked, and that is kind of like, film twists.
It's film twist tease, and, like, he smacks her, and, like,
And she falls.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's like, holy fuck. Like, he whacked her with his arm.
Can we also talk about how Keira Knightley was in so many... She's in the entire... Like, she must have been filming for so long. She must have started when she was only just 17.
Yeah. She turned 18 at some point during filming. And they
Yeah.
filmed for a while. I mean, also, like, these scenes were shot on boats. We've both watched the deleted scene... Or the background...
The special features,
Special
if you will. Are you on Oxy?
I don't know. I took some of your Oxy. Is that okay? You have enough. Yeah, like, I don't know if... I'm sure there was special effects employed, but, like, it was a lot of practical. Like, they were on boats, and they, like, did this.
Yeah. She worked.
She worked, and she was a kid, and, like, she's just everything, and she's gorgeous. Basically, we're ready to pause.
And finish.
This movie.
Because would you say that Kira's best moments come in the second or the first half?
That's a tough one.
I
But there's
almost want to say in the first, like, we haven't gotten to the rum scene.
There's some good Kira stuff coming. Let's go back and watch. I miss it now.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel like we got some really good stuff going here.
We'll be back.
We'll be back. See you soon, Babbles.
Bye.
Love you. Bye. Okay, this is heaven because I actually think I'm going to release it into...
I'm gonna talk about all the things that I wanna talk about. We'll just keep talking. We'll just keep talking. Just keep talking. Talking. For so long. Ow, we're babbling on. We're babbling
Babbling On is created, produced, and edited by Hilton Dresden. The theme song is by Benny Cotoletta, featuring Callie Baker, and is produced by Benny Cotoletta and Jack Grouse. The artwork is by Hilton Dresden. Audio consultation from Kenzie Woodrow and Dallas Seeker. Special thanks to Alec Cohen, Natalie Rotter-Waitman, Molly Montgomery, Nick Krause, and to everyone who has subscribed to Babbling On the Substack and refused to shut the fuck up.